A stormy few hours across the area. The warnings have expired, but a severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect for a few counties until 1 a.m. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Gerald Owens.
And I'm Deborah Morgan. Power is out, trees are down. Chief Meteorologist Greg Fischel is tracking it all in the dual Doppler 5000 in the WRIO Weather Center. Greg?
All right, Deb, and the good news is the watch pretty much over now for all of our counties. The threat of severe weather is over now. However, we do want to take you back and show you what the radar looked like earlier this evening. And what you're looking at here is the velocities from the radar. In other words, the movement of the objects that the radar is detecting, in this case, raindrops. And so I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you can see where we're talking about. And we're going to get in here close enough so you can actually see Durham. So the radar is down here near Clayton, and it's looking up, and these green areas are winds that are blowing toward the radar at a very, very good clip. In fact, some of the radar returns earlier this evening estimated sustained winds just above the ground of around 65 to 70 miles per hour. So if we move this on through, you can see it getting to Durham right around 9 o'clock or shortly thereafter, and then moving southeastward across Wake County. And these are some really, really strong echoes here and very, very strong velocities here. You can see having moved past Leesville and then approaching the Raleigh area as we head on toward about 9:30 or 9:40, and then it weakened considerably as it went on past that particular point in time. So that's sort of a review as to what has happened during the course of this evening. But if we take a look at what's going on now and go back out here a little bit, you'll be able to see that things have really quieted down. In fact, let me go the opposite direction. Don't zoom in, Greg, zoom out. There you go. And you can still see a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity down here moving out of Johnston County into Wayne County, but none of this is severe, nor do we expect it to be for the remainder of the night. So the good news is things are settling down. We'll talk about the big cool down coming up in just a little bit. Back to you.
All right, Greg, thanks.
We have heard several reports of trees down across Durham. WRIO's Ken Smith is in a neighborhood on Vickers Avenue. And Ken, what are you seeing there?
Gerald, as Greg just mentioned, things are very quiet now, but a couple of hours ago, it was not quiet here on Vickers Avenue. I'll get out of the way so photographer Andrew Cumby can show you exactly what I'm talking about. This is a home here on Vickers Avenue. You can see that tree came crashing down in the front of this home. I just had an opportunity to talk with a homeowner. He said a little after 9 o'clock tonight, he heard a crash of lightning. And then there was a pause, and then he just heard something crashing through his house. He heard windows breaking, and he knew that something was wrong. Of course, when he came outside, he saw exactly what was happening. This big oak tree had fallen right in the front of his house. And he says, if you look closely on the upstairs, he said he was grateful that his wife and son are actually not here. That's actually his son's bedroom where you see that limb. So he said he is so grateful tonight that his son and wife were actually already spending the night at a relative's home. He was just here by himself. So I can tell you for him, he's grateful that they were not home tonight. I want to also, with the help of Andrew Cumby, show you the transformer. You can see through the trees right there, the flickering of the transformer. That's an indication that these wires are still live. And right now, firefighters are here monitoring the situation until Duke Energy arrives. The Duke Energy crews will be responsible for getting the limbs off that wire. At some point, they will have to turn off the power in order to work on this power pole. But I got to tell you that at no time did any of the residents here on Vickers Avenue lose power. But that could change in the next little while when Duke Energy comes and tries to take the tree off those live wires that you see behind me. But again, it is quiet here now, but a couple of hours ago, it was a really dicey situation moving through this Durham community. Gerald.
Yeah, rough night, especially for that family. Ken Smith live in Durham. Thank you, Ken.
Boy, it all happened so fast, and our severe weather coverage continues now with Adam Owens. He's at Cameron Village in Raleigh. Adam, what are you seeing there?
Yeah, to be more exact, we're in the corner of Craig Street and Jarvis Street, not far off St. Mary's Street in this area. And you can see a number of large trees have toppled over. Large limbs have fallen off of trees. And at this intersection where we are currently located, we can see a number of different power lines that are down. We see those transformer canisters that are also laying on the ground. This is a big mess. It's going to take some time to get it cleaned up. In the distance, I can hear some neighborhood generators that are already turning on. Police in several different streets in this area have blocked off access traffic access, that is, and it might as well be blocked off. There's no way really to make your way down this street at this time because it is just littered with all this debris from this storm that came through. Look at what you're seeing right here. This tree cut off halfway up in this front yard and laying across the front yard. You may also notice that it is quite dark out here. Again, the power is out, and as you look home to home, it looks like nobody's home, but really there are people huddled in those homes with candles. And again, as I mentioned, some of them have generators trying to make the best of this situation. As a matter of fact, walking past some of the homes to get to this location where you're live right now, some of the neighbors were even asking us, do you know what happened? The storm moved through in the 9 o'clock hour. They said it was a very strong storm, and they were curious what had happened down the road from them. It is so dark out here in this neighborhood because of the power outage. It's hard to tell what happened maybe just a block away, but we didn't have to walk much further. And this is what we found again at the corner of Craig Street and Jarvis Street. And on our way getting here, this is not the only location that looks like this. We've also seen police in other locations in the Cameron Village area, and in some cases even blocking a lane of traffic or two, some of those fallen limbs. So you can see what this storm did to this community as it moved through. Back to you.
Boy, quite a mess. Adam, could you tell if the power was out at Cameron Village itself, all the restaurants and stores?
As it happens, we did not actually travel past there to get to this location, but it is out in a number of places surrounding this area, that is for sure.
All right, Adam Owens live in Raleigh. Thanks, Adam. Well, the storm brought a lot of rain and lots of lightning. We have video from our tower cam showing the skies lighting up Raleigh. This was recorded about an hour ago as the storm moved through. And check out this video taken after 9 p.m. at RDU International Airport. It's pitch black, then several lightning strikes hit. One of the many scenes like this that played out across the area tonight. Right now, more than 12,000 customers across the area are without power. We checked in with Duke Energy in the past few minutes, and here are the latest numbers. 6,600 customers without power in Durham County, 5,200 in Wake, and 1,300 in Johnston. Duke hopes to have all the power back on in just a couple of hours. We will be monitoring the conditions throughout this newscast and, of course, bring you any updates on damage, flooding, and power outages as we get them. Track severe weather anytime with the WRAL News app. It gives you instant access to current weather conditions and radar so you can see where the heaviest rain is and when it can move through your neighborhood. The app is available for Apple and Android for free.
The Senate is expected to take a second vote and pass a budget in less than an hour. WRAL's Adam Owens gives us a closer look at the back and forth between lawmakers today.
Hearing none, the question.
Republicans behind the Senate budget say it keeps a good thing going.
Let's continue to move North Carolina forward. This budget does that.
They say their fiscal policies have spurred growth and made North Carolina attractive to business.
We have really cash flowed the state and looked at running like a business.
The Senate budget makes small cuts to the personal tax rate and a sizable cut to the corporate tax rate and an increase in the standard deduction.
It promotes further tax relief. It increases teacher pay. It focuses on improving outcomes for our kids in school.
However, it doesn't go far enough for working families across our state.
Democrats say in an improving economy, the budget doesn't go far enough. They say the tax cut is skewed to benefit the wealthy instead of the average family.
This means that our highest earners get a tax cut 50 times bigger than working families.
Money, they argue, should go toward what's needed in North Carolina, more funding for education and job training.
If we fail to make sound investments in our people and our growing state, we will continue to fall behind.
Adam Owens was on that story earlier tonight. Again, there will be another vote on the budget just after midnight. It is expected to pass the Senate again and then move on to the House. Make sure to watch our morning news for all of the overnight developments.
A deadly crash today at Fort Bragg. A spokesperson tells us 3 soldiers were in a military Humvee on Plank Road around 4:30 p.m. when they crashed into a civilian's car. 1 soldier was killed, another was flown to UNC Hospital, and the third had minor injuries and was treated at the scene. The driver of the car was not hurt. A man we featured today on WRAL on our 5 o'clock news died just after seeing the story about him on TV. Brian Mims shared the emotional story of the father of 3 who was dying of throat cancer. Ray Burrow of Rayford took pictures with his children, knowing he would miss different stages of their lives, like weddings and graduations. The pictures went viral. Burrow's family told us he watched the story during our 5 o'clock newscast, went to sleep, and died less than an hour later.
Our prayers go out to his family. An Apex Middle School teacher and coach is suspended after video surfaced showing him berating a student and referencing slavery. Earlier this evening, Ken Smith spoke with that student's mother, who says she was infuriated after watching the video.
I said, you're being controlled by him. That's exactly what happened to the slaves. They were controlled by their owners. You're letting him control you.
This incident happened during study hall at Apex Middle School. The cell phone video obtained by WRAL from the student's mother shows the confrontation between the teacher and the 7th grade student. Ayanna Wilson is his mother.
It's 2017. We are not going through slavery anymore. So I just felt like, you know, that was the wrong choice of words.
When Wake County Schools learned of the incident from the principal at Apex Middle, the teacher, Dick Wesendunk, who is also a coach, was immediately suspended.
Is that satisfactory for you?
No, that's not satisfactory for me. I feel as though he should not be working with children.
The principal at Apex Middle notified parents of the incident in a statement that reads in part, I want to make it clear that we have high expectations for behavior and policies addressing codes of ethics for teachers in our building. We strictly adhere to these expectations and enforce these policies. Wilson says, though, she and her son are concerned about him finishing the school year at Apex Middle.
And then he's worried about the students because he was humiliated. They were laughing in a video and they found it funny.
That was Ken Smith reporting. Now, Wilson was quick to point out Apex Middle is a very good school and didn't have any problems until now. Ken reached out to Mr. Wesendunk, the person who answered the phone at his home, said he wasn't available. We continue to monitor the damage from the storm throughout the area. We're going to bring that to you when we get it.
Also ahead, a Raleigh daycare center shut down over an employee's actions. What the man admitted to police he did.
And the latest effort to protect the majestic wild horses along North Carolina's Outer Banks.
We begin tonight with several breaking news stories, including an officer-involved shooting in Cumberland County. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Deborah Morgan.
And I'm Gerald Owens. We have a live look at West Manchester Road in Spring Lake. This is the scene. It's still quite active. We received some new information about 15 minutes ago. This started around 8:40. Officers received a report of a careless and reckless driver. The officer on duty conducted a traffic stop. During the interaction, we're told the driver took off and hit the officer. The officer fired, hit the driver, who is now at Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. That officer is also at the hospital being treated for his injuries. The names of those involved and their conditions have not been released. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office and the SBI are assisting Spring Lake Police with the investigation. Now to breaking news in Wake County and the successful end to the search for a missing 12-year-old boy.
That boy was found within the last 30 minutes. Let's get right to WRAL's Adam Owens covering this for us. Adam?
And this really is great news, guys. The concern over where this missing 12-year-old might be, the concern was growing by the hour. But as you mentioned, just in the last half hour, we did get that good news that this young boy has been located. This is a picture of this young boy that we were given during that search. He is 12-year-old Owen Wyckoff. We were told that he was last seen around 2:30 this afternoon from his home on Riverview Road. That's in eastern Wake County. But then look at this video. This video was taken again less than a half hour ago. This is the moment that 12-year-old boy was reunited with his parents. It really was a very special moment. We've seen people searching through wooded areas around the home. Canine units were brought in as well. But family members tonight tell us it turns out that the boy was finally located in a restaurant off New Bern Avenue. That is quite a bit of a little hike from here. Apparently, some of the workers in that restaurant saw news reports of this missing kid. They realized he was right there among them. They called authorities. That's how they were able to return this 12-year-old Owen Wyckoff to his family members. Now, we're still working on getting details and exactly how the boy ended up at that restaurant on New Bern Avenue. But the biggest thing, the best news, of course, tonight is that he is home and he's home safe. Back to you.
What a wonderful scene with his parents. We're so glad that he's safe. Adam Owens live in Wake County. Thank you. We will continue to monitor both of these stories throughout the night and bring you any updates in this newscast and online. For any overnight developments, watch for our morning news starting at 4:30 on WRAL.
New tonight, the parents of a 5-year-old boy hit and killed by a construction vehicle the day after Christmas is filing suit. Everett Copeland was hit while playing with friends in the Forest Ridge subdivision in Hillsborough. According to the lawsuit, a truck was left running and unattended on a steep hill as it was being filled with dirt. The family also claims the operator of that truck, Alejandro Suarez, had no experience in operating trucks and did not have a license. The family is suing Suarez, Kayla Contracting, and Amward Homes of North Carolina. The family released this statement saying, quote, "We are committed to honoring Everett and his memory in any way we can. This includes making sure there is full accounting of how he lost his life while playing with his friends in the yard the day after Christmas. This knowledge cannot bring our Everett back to us, but it may ensure this type of tragedy is not visited upon another family or innocent child." Police officers and firefighters in Durham are getting pay raises. City leaders approved the action tonight.
WRAL's Candace Sweat reports why some say this is a step in the right direction when it comes to recruiting and retaining.
Good evening. We would like to call the Durham City Council meeting to order.
It was on the agenda as a non-controversial item, but for those it will directly impact and the residents who will fill the residuals, it's important.
Close the vote.
It passes 7-0.
With a unanimous vote, firefighters and police officers in Durham will get a pay raise. As it stands, police and fire recruits receive roughly $33,000 in pay. With this new plan, police recruits will now receive roughly $37,000. Fire recruits about $34,000.
They're out there. It's just a matter of us being competitive enough to get those good applicants on our department.
Durham Police Chief C.J. Davis has said recruiting can be a challenge when competing with nearby cities. For instance, Charlotte pays recruits $40,000. Just last month, David told us the department had more than 60 vacancies. But this, she says, is a move in a good direction. Durham's fire chief agrees. For him, it's not so much recruiting that's an issue, but movement through the pay structure.
Once a firefighter gets into the system, at least in Durham, he or she typically doesn't leave. So it's how we compensate those people as they're working through a 30-year career with the city.
Ultimately, the council's decision received an applause.
Candace Sweat reporting. A spokesman for Durham Police says under this new plan, merit-based raises will go from 3% to 5%.
Right now, Senate Democrats continue their efforts to halt the nomination of Betsy DeVos, the president's choice for education secretary. Democrats are hoping to sway Republican colleagues to their side. Two Republicans have already crossed over. We'll keep an eye on this situation tonight. Look for any updates on our morning news.
We could know by this time tomorrow night if the president's order on immigration will be back on again. Tonight, a federal appeals court in California announced it will hear arguments tomorrow evening by phone. Friday, a federal judge put the travel ban on hold. Today, the Justice Department filed an appeal arguing Congress gives the president broad authority to control the borders. An hour-long phone call tomorrow between the attorneys and the appeals court will determine the immediate fate of the order.
Garner police are investigating an accident that tied up traffic for a bit tonight. Officials say the driver suffered minor injuries after hitting a utility pole on Garner Road around 8 o'clock. Police haven't said what caused the accident. A pilot is recovering tonight after a fiery plane crash in the western part of the state. A small modified T-6 aircraft crashed in a field this afternoon in Morganton. That's in Burke County. This picture was posted on Twitter by the Burke County EMS. The pilot has been identified as 84-year-old John Shell Sr. He survived the accident and was walking around before being taken to the hospital to be checked out.
Military prosecutors say President Trump's campaign comments will not prevent Bo Bergdahl from getting a fair trial. Last year, Trump suggested Bergdahl, the Army sergeant charged with desertion, should face stiff punishment. Prosecutors claim any reasonable observer would understand it was just campaign rhetoric. Bergdahl claims President Trump violated the soldiers' right to due process. The price tag for House Bill 2 is about to rise. That's the word today from a sports group in a letter sent to all state lawmakers. The letter sent on behalf of the North Carolina Sports Association says the NCAA started the process of choosing sites for championships from 2018 through 2022. As long as House Bill 2 stays the law, North Carolina will not be considered. The group says that could cost the state at least $250 million. Senate Leader Phil Berger says compromise will be needed for another repeal deal to make it through the General Assembly.
The Orange Water and Sewer Authority will hold a community meeting this Thursday to address last week's water emergency. It starts at 6 o'clock at the Chapel Hill Town Hall. Staff members will give customers a preliminary report, and those customers will be able to ask questions and give some feedback. The water emergency ended yesterday. Businesses reopened after a broken water main spilled more than 1 million gallons. OWASA says its operations have returned to normal and its water storage tanks have been refilled. A study designed to speculate what would happen if Fort Bragg lost 3,000 troops is showing some very real economic impact on Cumberland County. The report shows in 2011 there were 51,000 troops at Fort Bragg. Today that number is down to 47,000. The group conducting the survey says losing 3,000 soldiers would eventually lead to the loss of more than 4,800 civilian jobs and a reduction of about $12 million in tax revenue. The survey recommends Cumberland County diversify its employment opportunities beyond the military.
Shaw University is asking the city of Raleigh for a police substation on campus, but not everyone is happy about it. The university president sent a letter to Raleigh's mayor explaining the situation could help improve police relations and change perceptions at the historically black college. A flyer is circulating around campus asking students to sign a petition against the police substation. It says the increased police presence may actually increase tensions. The university has 8 of its own police officers on campus, as well as security guards. Police officers in Hillsborough are getting some cutting-edge training that has nothing to do with technology or equipment.
The department is one of the first in the nation to undergo cognitive command training. It's about controlling your decision-making process. It's especially important in the stressful situations that police officers find themselves in. It involves different mental exercises done on a daily basis, some similar to meditation.
It's a lot of mental exercises. I would almost describe it similar, some of the exercises are similar to meditation.
The training runs 10 weeks, but officers are encouraged to continue the practices on their own after that. Officers are in their first week now.
The more connected your home is, the more ways hackers can watch and listen to everything you do. Phones, baby monitors, Google Home, Alexa. Complete strangers can tap into these devices. You can take 2 simple steps to protect your privacy. Watch 5 on Your Side tomorrow at 6 p.m. on WRAL. A lesson in sportsmanship coming up, how 2 teams put their rivalry aside to let one special player have his moment on the court.
Plus, she was kidnapped and missing for 10 years, how a former victim is trying to help others. Greg?
All right, Gerald, if you don't have enough money to go to an amusement park, you don't need any money. You'll just stay and watch the temperature go up and down rather impressively over the course of the next several days. Looks like we've got a couple of big cycles to go through. We'll talk about the timetable for both coming up.
Hey guys, Super Bowl champions Bill Belichick, Julian Edelman are here. Plus we have Tom Selleck, Joe Jonas, and music from Kelsey Ballerini. Do not change the channel.
Breaking news right now on WRAL, a massive fire burning in downtown Raleigh. This is happening on West North Street. We're told this is an apartment complex under construction.
This fire has been burning now for the past hour. About 45 minutes ago, watch this. We saw a sky crane collapse, part of that construction project that just collapsed because of the heat and the intense flames. There it goes.
Unbelievable video there. Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Gerald Owens.
And I'm Deborah Morgan. Let's get right to WRAL's Adam Owens, who just arrived at the scene. Adam, what can you tell us?
I can tell you that literally in just the last few seconds, in just the last couple of seconds, right as you were tossing to me, we've heard 2 large boom sounding explosions come from the center of the fire. We're being kept, as well as everyone else, about 2 blocks from this massive fire, as you called it. That's exactly the word you need to use. This is a massive fire. I'm going to step out of the way, let Pete James move in. Keep in mind, as I just mentioned to you, this fire is 2 city blocks here in downtown Raleigh away from us. That's as close as the authorities are letting us at this point. But you can see on several buildings close to us, again, at least 1.5 blocks, 2 blocks away, there are small fires on other buildings. It is quite likely that by the time all of this is said and done and is finally under control, that we're going to discover there are more buildings than we might have assumed that have caught fire in at least some way or another. Let's take a look at video that has been coming into the newsroom, really from just all sources. As best we can gather at this point, this fire started at 400 West North Street in downtown Raleigh. It appears to be an area where there are apartments of some sort that are under construction at the time. And as you mentioned at the top of the show, we've been getting some video, rolling and monitoring video from our tower cam at the station. And we actually were able to witness a crane somewhere in the vicinity of this fire, located inside this fire, actually collapse under that heat. We're seeing firefighters continue to make their way into the downtown Raleigh area, and they're really, truly throwing everything they have at it. At nearly every intersection, in a 2-block radius, we have police officers who are telling people to walk away, that it isn't safe. And while these flames are quite a bit smaller than when the fire first started, when everything first started getting underway, while those flames have died down, again, we did hear some very large, deep booms, a couple of them coming from the center of that fire not too terribly long ago. And from the glow that we're seeing, even from our distance here, clearly there is still a lot of firefighting left to be done. And again, the spread is another thing that they are extremely concerned about. Again, they're keeping us at a pretty good distance from this blaze, and there are buildings that are in the same street, just across the street from us, that have fires on their roofs. Firefighters can't even get to those fires, guys, at this point. They're focusing on the core of it, the source. So while we are seeing small fires on top of buildings that are around the ignition source here, there's not firefighters that can even pay attention to those, it appears anyway, those secondary fires at this point. We are talking about a massive situation here.
Adam, some of those buildings look like they're pitch black. Did you notice the power outages in the area when you all made your way to that scene? Were the street lights out? Is it completely blacked out down there?
The street lights are out. That obviously involves traffic lights as well. As a matter of fact, it's an eerie scene, Gerald, when you walk around down here and when you drive into the downtown area. The only thing lighting this area of downtown, and think about this, the only thing lighting this area of downtown is the fire itself and the flashing blue lights of police officers that have blocked these intersections all through downtown, and with good reason as well. They're still obviously trying to get a handle on this.
Well, we also heard earlier, Adam, that there were people trapped in some of those buildings downtown. I'm sure that they are evacuating as many people as they can. Have you seen people out just kind of wandering around because they have been forced to leave some of those buildings?
We haven't seen so much of that as we've been trying to make our way. When we first arrived, we did see there was the people from time to time who were moving past us in a way as we were trying to get closer to the scene, and they were talking on their cell phones. A couple people you over here talking to people, telling them, "Now I'm okay, I'm okay. It is a big fire. It was close, but I'm okay." But the people that we are around at this point, some media are getting into the area, and it really involves a lot of people who maybe had some distance from the fire, saw it, and are walking toward it to get some photos and to see exactly what's going on down here.